Honorable Speaker, I have previously spoken on the issue of adolescent health in this country. I have indicated that as a country, the greatest problem we have is the neglect of adolescent girls and boys in this country. Honorable Speaker, the 1.4 million unintended pregnancies is just a result of the negligence that we have. Mr. Speaker, I have previously given the statistics around the teen pregnancies in this country. And as at now, between 2016 and now, we have had nearly 1.6 million teen pregnancies in this country. That is young girls who are defiled or who engaged in sexual activity and got pregnant. But now this is the record of the ones who got pregnant and attempted to get rid of those pregnancies. Mr. Speaker, I wish we would look at this issue not in a siloed manner, but as a matter of killing our future. Mr. Speaker, even as we look at the issue of abortion, I don't think the solution here is providing family planning. The issue here is what programs are we putting in place to safeguard the livelihoods of our children. Mr. Speaker, of those who are pregnant, I'd like to tell you we have 150, among them aged 10 and 14 years. Those are going to be mothers. And yet in the Ministry of Education, we have no program on sex education. Mr. Speaker, this information and more information that keeps coming around pregnancies, abortions, is a call to us to stop continuing with the policy of no sex education in schools. Mr. Speaker, we need to have sex education in schools. We need our girls and boys to be told the consequences and find out, and I would like us to just do it even for fun. Go and find out from your nephews, and you'll find out what is happening out there is bad. Mr. Speaker, the biggest crisis as far as I'm concerned is that Kenya has dropped the ball when it comes to the care of its adolescents. And these results will keep coming here one by one. We talk about how many pregnancies. We talk about how many have not gone back to school. We'll talk about how many have procured abortions. And we are not even being told how many died while trying to procure abortion. Mr. Speaker, this is a serious issue. And I'm hoping that this Senate, which I'm calling a courageous Senate, can one of these days have the courage to be able to face religious leaders, top government officials, to tell them adolescents are the future of this nation, and we must put in place the policies that take care of them. GBV is all over. GBV is all over for both boys and girls. But that is not a big deal. We are not discussing it. So I'm calling all of us on order to seriously start looking at your own statistics. Senator Faki, Senator Khalwale, Senator Majority Leader, please come back next time and tell us how many girls in Kakamega County who are under 18 got pregnant last year. Can you come and tell us, each of you? Senator Majority, I was talking about, please next time tell us how many teen pregnancies did we have in Kericho? How many of these abortions happened in Kericho? I want us to start personalizing it. Then we will see how serious it is. I also want you to go and ask the Minister for Education, how many of the kids who got pregnant are back in school? Last year, I went to Bungoma County. Senator Wafula is not here. In 2023 alone, we had 5,000 teen pregnancies in Bungoma. That is how many schools. If you are talking of a school that has 1,200 learners, those are about 4 schools full of pregnant people. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank Senator Hamida for bringing this issue, but it is a big issue that I think we need to start looking at holistically, and we need to ask the committees on health and committees on education to look at it from the lens of adolescents, to look at it from the lens of both boys and girls, to look at it beyond pregnancies and abortions, to look at it as an issue of violence against adolescents. And if we do so, we will realize that we need to do something about it. And Mr. Speaker, I will be going to the task force, to the Nancy Baraza task force. I am glad it's being headed by internal security. And Senator C.S. Murkomen is in charge of security. We would want matters of the safety of girls and boys in this country to be treated as an issue of internal security. And that policy should extend and put a budget line and a policy in place to ensure that the safety and security of our girls and boys is taken care of. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to make some comments on, particularly on the statement, I believe, by Senator Hamida Kibwana on the issue of pregnancy in school, or unwanted pregnancies in school. Mr. Speaker, I think all of us here are missing the point. You know, we can stand here and lament and make all beautiful statements and condemn certain individuals, but we are not going to the root cause of the problem. The statement presented by Senator Hamida has given statistics, and they have said that Nairobi County is leading in unwanted pregnancy by 78%. And they said Nyanza province is 69.4%. They also talked about Central Province, 78.3%. Mr. Speaker, the most important thing for us to ask ourselves is, what is sort of like similar in all these counties? The rate of poverty in these counties is very high. Because when you ask yourself, who are these young girls who are getting pregnant in Nairobi? It is the informal sector. It is in public schools. If you go to private schools where the rich take their children, where we take our children, the rate of pregnancy there is quite low. Because those kids are educated, those kids are given activities to be able to take. We are not. The biggest problem, we're the ones who incubate this problem, ensure that it gives birth, and then instead of having a proper solution, we come and lament here. This is an issue where the Ministry of Education, yesterday I was surprised. I was watching in the news, the Committee of Education had invited the Ministry of Education to the National Assembly. And even when you're looking at the priorities of that Ministry of Education, they had forgotten one very important basic thing, which is to budget for the exams that these children are taking. If we are not budgeting for the exam for these children, we are not investing in making sure that we support these children. We come up with policies that guarantees free primary education, free secondary education. How then are we going to come up and stop this issue of pregnancy? You know, sometimes people sit down and they say, you know, life is too hard. All I want to do is to get a meal for the day. You know, and when these kids who are vulnerable, when they go home, the parents are out there working to be able to feed those kids. And when those kids do not have activities to do, what do you expect them to do? They will be lured by guys who drive border borders, who've got some little money. You know, they'll be lured by politicians like us. They'll be lured by rich people from the cities. And you know, these kids will be mesmerized. And what do you know? They're pregnant. And then that is when they realize, oh my God, what did I just do? I think we need to ask ourselves, what steps do we need to take to be able to solve this problem? I think when I look at the senators who are in this chamber right now, I know Senator Mugatana is a father of girls. I know Senator Halwale is a father of girls, many girls. I know my good friend from Kwale is a father of girls. I'm a father of girls. So this is our problem. This is something that we need to take. I know the speaker is a father of girls. So really, all of us here, including the majority leader, they're all fathers of girls. So what should we be doing? What we should be advocating is not lamenting, but rather saying, how do we ensure that these girls remain in school? You know, I always hear when we politicians make statements and say no child should be left behind, you know. But are we really investing money? Are we putting money in those schools? Are we creating jobs for those kids to be able to have those jobs? You know, this is a time when all of us should be asking ourselves, even in our own environment, are we creating internships, opportunities? In America, where I grew up, you will see a high school kid, when they're in recess, or when they're on their school holidays, that kid is doing a job, you know, working at KFC to raise money. I raised money. I was doing 2-3 jobs to be able to go to school. But here, no, it's a problem. We are not creating jobs here. We are busy fighting between the Senate and the National Assembly on who is superior. Yet, our children, yet independent institutions come and carry out surveys. This one, I think, was done, incidents of induced abortion and related complications. Now, let's talk about the issue of abortion. When we talk about abortion in this country, one of the biggest issues that has been raised here as a concern is the issue of Plan B, where a child has unprotected sex, and then they are educated that you can get Plan B. You can get a pill the next day, and that is it, and you move on. Who should be the first person to educate these children on the dangers of these induced abortions? Is it the Poison and Pharmacy Board? Is it us? Is it the parents? That is a conversation we need to be able to have. Nowadays, because of all of us trying to line our pockets, to drive big cars and just enjoy our life, we miss out on our traditional cultural ceremonies. Before, the Luyas would be meeting and sitting down. They'll be having ceremonies. The Kalenjins, the Maasais will have the same ceremonies. And we'll talk about the importance, you know, of respecting young girls. In our Maasai culture, I'll tell you this. Before a boy is circumcised, that night you are asked whether you've slept with any woman. If you happen to have slept with a woman, nobody will hold your back. You are called Orgidegenyi. You know, when we stopped all that, we stopped really focusing on that. People argue there is an issue of health concerns. Health concern my foot. You know, all we need to do is to ask ourselves, can we now go back to our traditional cultures? Can we go back on the most important tenets? What holds this community? Otherwise, Senator Muma will be coming here and lamenting and telling us, give us statistics. You know, give us statistics for Narok. Give us statistics. But are we going to eat statistics? No. I really feel the pain that my good Senator Muma has, the way she's feeling so passionate about this issue. But are we solving the problem? The problem is one. All of us must now put our foot down and demand that these kids, we must have free education in this country. We must support our public schools. You know, yesterday I was hearing that we have so many teachers who are interns, and they cannot be absorbed because there's no money. What do we need to do? I think, Majority Leader, it's about time that we start realigning our own existing resources. We start looking at ways that we can absorb these children, creating cultural things. In fact, the only thing that politicians do now is to be able to sponsor soccer tournaments. You know, you'll sponsor soccer tournaments, and you know what? You are eyeing 2027 because you want to bring people together, play soccer, give them T-shirts, give them balls, and then tomorrow you'll remember, oh, I'm the one who sponsored a soccer tournament in the whole of Narok County. Instead of us investing in mentoring activities, the women, the professional women's here, what we should be hearing is that we have a problem. And to solve this problem, we must go to the root cause of this problem. These kids are idle. You know, these kids are poor. Their families don't even have food. They are lured. So we agree and say, what do we do? What activities do we give these children when they're on school holidays? But if we stand here and we say, Senator Ledama brings statistics of the children in girls in Narok who are pregnant, what are those statistics going to help you with? Nothing. Of course, they can inform you when it comes to the issue of decisions, but if you cannot solve the basic problem of ensuring that that child is busy, talking to that child about her future, talking to that child, you know, when we were growing up, the most important thing was for you to finish school, get a white-collar job. Now, we don't need to get white-collar jobs anymore. We can be creative. We can be creative. In the Maasai culture, we can use our tools, make beadwork, the women in our culture. I'm told that I have some girls from Sikanani school here, and I hope that they'll still be around. We just invested about 120 million by the national government to build a bidding center. I hope this bidding center can take these girls there, mentor them, so that even if they don't get jobs, they can be able, in future, they can be able to make money for themselves. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this statement, but apart from just giving statistics, I think it now behooves all of us to start thinking and saying, what are we going to do to ensure that we promote free primary and secondary education, and we introduce mentoring programs to help children understand their sex health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mungatana.
Bwana Spika, ningependa kusema machache kuhusu mimba za mapema za watoto wetu. Bwana Spika, kule kwetu tunatoka Tana River, shida hii bado ipo. Na hii inaongezwa nguvu na tabia ya kuoa mapema ambayo inafanyika. Ningependa kuchukua nafasi hii kwanza kushukuru koti zetu za upande ule wa Tana River. Manake koti nyingi zimekwisha wafunga watu, na ile akili ya kwamba mambo ya kushika watoto imeanza kuingia. Lakini kwa muda mrefu, Bwana Spika, mambo haya yalikuwa yanaendelea. Kwanza ningependa kuwashukuru sana wale ambao wote wanahusika katika kitengo cha machifu na assistant county commissioners, kwa sababu mbali na kufungwa kwa watu ambao wanahusika na kitendo hichi, tumepata a lot of watu wengi SCCs na machifu ambao wamefanya education kwa wananchi kila sehemu, na tunashukuru sana kwa sababu kazi hii inazidi kuendelea. Jambo ambalo tungependa kusema na ningependa kusema katika seneti hii ni kwamba wazazi na viongozi wa jamii tuache hii tabia ya kutafuta maslahi wakati ni watoto wadogo ndio wanaolewa mapema, watoto wanaharibiwa. Tuache kabisa hii tabia ya kutafuta maslahi. Tunataka watoto wetu wasome, na wale wazee ambao wanashika watoto ama wanajaribu kuwaoza watoto ambao wako chini ya miaka 18, koti zetu, machifu wetu wafanye bidii hao watu waadhibiwe. Jambo la pili na la mwisho kuhusu hizi mimba za mapema, Bwana Spika, ni kuomba sisi wazazi pia tuchukue nafasi kukaa na watoto wetu. Asubuhi kama watu wameenda shamba na jioni wamerudi, ama watu wameenda kuuza vitu kule sokoni na jioni wamerudi, ama watoto wameenda shule na jioni wamerudi, ama wameenda kuchunga mbuzi na ng'ombe na jioni wamerudi, tuchukue nafasi kukaa na watoto wetu. Dunia hii ambayo tunaishi, Bwana Spika, ni dunia chafu. Kama ni kwa mitandao, dunia ni chafu. kama ni kwa mazungumzo, dunia ni chafu. Kama ni huko mahali watu wanakunywanga mapombe, dunia ni chafu. Kwa hivyo sisi kama wazazi tuchukue jukumu la kuongea na watoto wetu. Yaani kwa kizungu tunasema pushback. Lazima tuchukue nafasi ya kukaa na watoto wetu, kuongea na wao. Mimi kama ilivyosemekana hapa ni mzazi wa wasichana. Na nimekuja kutambua, manake nilikuwa sijui. Mimi nilikuwa nafikiria kujuana, watu wanaenda wanaongea, wanakunywa chai, kisha baadaye ndio wanaenda restaurant na mambo kama hivyo vile tulifanya, ama kukaa hapa National Park, ama kununua njugu na kukaa hapa chini ya miti hapa kuongeshana. Siku hizi mambo ni tofauti, mambo ni different kwa ground. Wasichana wangu walikuwa akiniambia vile mambo yako hii dunia, hata nimeshtuka Bwana Speaker. Siku hizi watu ni internet, kila kitu ni internet, watu wanasoma maprofile, watu wanaelezana kila kitu. Ati sasa sio kama zamani, ati mimi siwezi kutana na watu ati tunaenda kukula njugu. Tunakula njugu ya wapi daddy? Unaona sasa mambo yamebadilika, mambo yamekuwa, watu sio vile tulikuwa kitambo. Kwa hivyo ni lazima sisi tukae tuwaongeleshe hawa watoto wetu. Lazima, yani hii ni kama ni vita. Kwa sababu wewe usipowaongelesha, ukweli wa watoto wako utakuwa ni ukweli wa wale watoto ambao wana tabia mbaya. Ukweli wa watoto wako itakuwa ni ukweli wa ile mavideo chafu wanaangalia katika internet. Ukweli wa watoto wako itakuwa ni zile story wanaambiwa na watu wengine. Lazima tuchukue nafasi ya kupinga kabisa haya mambo na kuwafundisha maadili na dini. Na isiwe kwamba dini sisi sasa tunangojea watu wa kanisa ama watu wa madrasa wawafundishe dini. Sisi wenyewe kule nyumbani lazima tukikaa na kuomba na watoto wetu, kuongea na wao na kuwafundisha, ili mambo haya ya mimba zisizotakikana yapungue. Kwa hivyo Bwana Speaker, kati ya mambo mengi ambayo lazima tufanye sisi kama Wakenya, lazima tuchukue majukumu yetu kama wazazi ili kupigana na hizi mimba za mapema. Asante sana Bwana Speaker.
Senator Julius Murko.
Asante kwa kunipa nafasi hii, Bwana Speaker. Neno hili la mimba ya mapema ni kitu ambacho shika mwendo sana siku hizi. Nadhani pamoja na yale wenzangu wamesema kwamba umaskini umezidi, na ndipo watoto jipata tu wanaongozwa kufanya haya maneno kupitia njia ambazo ni rahisi, kama kununuliwa sweet, kama kununuliwa biskuti na vitu kama hivi. Vinachukua watoto wetu wachukuliwe na watu walio na nia mbaya. Njia ambayo imekuwa rahisi sana ni watu wa pikipiki hasa, ambao wanachukua watoto wetu kwenda shuleni, kwenda sokoni, kwenda pahali ambapo wanataka kwenda, na vijana fulani, watu fulani wanajifanya ni wateja wa kuwasaidia. Hata saa zingine wanawachukua bure bila malipo, na kwa njia hii wanawatengenezea njia mbofu ya kuweza kuwakuta na kuweza kulala nao na kuwapa mimba. Na kule nyumbani baba na mama siku hizi hawajali kuketi na watoto wao na kuwaongelesha. Wamama kitambo kidogo ama zamani walikuwa wanaongelesha wasichana, hasa wasichana wale ambao wameanza kupata damu za mwezi. Wamama wanajua ya kwamba bila shaka watapata mimba wakati wowote, na kwa hivyo wanakaribia kabisa kuongea nao na kuweka maneno wazi ili msichana ajue ya kwamba akilala na mfulana, akilala na mwanaume, mimba yaweza kupatikana wakati wowote. Na kwa hivyo sasa wamama siku hizi wameachia walimu wawe ndio wanakaribia watoto, na labda kanisani ama madrasa wanaachiwa waongeleshe watoto. Na hao pia saa zingine wengine huko wanakuwa nyang'au ama wale ambao wataweza kutumia hao watoto vibaya. Na kwa hivyo kila pahali sasa ni hatari kwa mtoto msichana na mtoto mfulana pia, kwa sababu watoto wa fulana pia wameingia katika hali hiyo ya kutumiwa vibaya na watu walio na nia mbaya. Na kwa hivyo ili tuweze kukabiliana na hali ambayo tunayo sasa, ni kuongea na watoto kwa njia ambayo ni wazi, hasa baba na mama wenyewe waongee kwanza na wajadili juu ya watoto wao na mienendo ya kila mtoto vile anaenda, ili waweze kuwasaidia wasiweze kutumiwa